there's all kinds of issues with having your location permanently sort of broadcast to the world, or even to some people, and then archived on the internet. And one of the issues that we've seen in Asia, and I'm sure we're going to see here as the services become more prevalent, is murders and rapes and muggings and things like that.
When you put location together with social graph, obviously Facebook gearing up for a location announcement of some kind, does that magnify the risks?
I think so. I think it's interesting. When you said social graph, the first thing I thought of is, what's the definition of social graph? Only because so many services are coming out now and saying, well, you can be friends with people, but why not be friends with other things as well, and like particularly places. And I love the idea of tracking, say, my local cafe, and not just seeing where my friends are at any one time, but seeing who comes into that cafe, particularly the public data. I love that.
You look at something like Foursquare, I never check in when I'm at home.
Right.
I check in when I'm out, and I want people to find me. So there is an opt-in aspect to this, versus, say, a service that just tracks where you are at all times.
Yeah, and actually that's interesting. I'm always willing, I'm usually willing to broadcast to the world where I am right now, except when I'm at home. I'm at the Where 2.0 conference, I'm at TechCrunch HQ, I'm wherever. But I don't necessarily want this sort of stream of data of everywhere I've been. Somebody wrote a blog post recently about how basically Foursquare or services like it will show, it'd be fascinating 80 years from now to look back and see where you were 40 years before, and it's sort of the diary of your life. And I think that's great for me, but I don't really want that data being out there. So I think being more intelligent, these services being more intelligent about not just who gets to see what data, but who gets to see what data based on the extra dimension of time, and when it's fresh data or old data is a really good idea.
If your address book works better on your iPhone, you're going to use the iPhone. It'll be a draw to the iPhone. Or coming back to location, you look at this already where Google Maps with turn-by-turn directions is on Android but not on iPhone. The kinds of features that are differentiating are going to be part of this next generation of platform wars, and the companies that have the biggest tool chest of capabilities that either they own or that they get by alliances are going to be critical. And so it's going to be interesting because I do think that the companies that figure out who has sort of data assets and services that they can mash into their platform most effectively so they don't have to build them themselves are going to be in a strong position.
This conference next year is going to be really good.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of open questions right now, right, about what's Google going to do? Is Foursquare a long-term player? They're just going to get taken out at some point. The recent round suggests that they're really going to go for something over the long term. How does a small guy still compete with the big guys? I actually think this conference, is it next year, right? You only have this once a year.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of those questions being answered.
Absolutely. That's what we're hoping for.
Thanks for having me
on.
on.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming, Michael.